What's up guys, my name is Wouters and today I'm gonna give you tips on how to not look like a beginner longboarder. Even though I think there's nothing wrong with being a beginner, it's absolutely fine. Everyone started as a beginner and there's nothing wrong with looking like a beginner. But still, I can understand that you're feeling judged, and even I feel that way sometimes when I'm cruising down the streets.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
So hopefully this video will help you guys out, and let's just get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the pushing. This is one of the most important things in my opinion in starting to look like an experienced longboarder. The way you push will easily give away to someone who skates or longboards what level of skating you're on. So I think this is the first thing you can work on to get more confident and more comfortable on your board. And the cool thing is, when you're learning how to push, this can be a really fun thing to do. It's just practicing pushing, because first of all you can just put some music on, just cruise around your town, your hometown, and just cruising through the streets, even like exploring some new parts of the city or the town or whatever. Or you can hit up your friends and just every week or a couple of times a week go cruise around the city, and just like that you will really practice your pushing along the way, and this will help you a lot towards becoming a better longboarder and towards looking like a more experienced longboarder, because that's what we're talking about. So things you can work on when you're practicing your pushing, when you're cruising around the town, so you can learn it faster and you know what you have to keep your mind on. First thing you want to learn is how to push straight, of course. That's going to be the first step and already enough of a challenge for you then. But once you're somewhat comfortable pushing straight, you already want to start practicing making some turns while you're pushing, so you can go through corners more easily and more elegantly. This way, like, you don't have to just push straight, then go into your cruising position, make the corner and then go back to pushing straight. But like most experienced longboarders will just keep pushing throughout corners, so you can make turns while pushing in a couple of different ways. First of all, something a lot of people do, like me, I put my foot on the side of the board while I'm making the carve. This is a really easy way once you get comfortable standing on the side of the board, etc. Some people, they turn their feet a bit and they just lean into it more, like Yellow does right now. Like you can see right now, you can also make turns like that. And yeah, whatever works for you, like you can try different ways, practice whatever you want. Second thing you can work on while practicing your pushing is to put your feet close to the board instead of far away. As you can see, it looks like, yeah, it doesn't look very good if you put your foot far away from the board. Secondly, you don't want to stretch your legs too much while pushing. You want to keep them bent and really go through your legs. That goes both for your leg that is pushing as the leg that's standing on the board. You want to go through that knee while the other leg is making the push, and it will make it look way more smooth. Next up, something that's really important is that you swing it out. You don't just stop the push as soon as your foot like releases the contact with the ground, but you actually swing it out. This will make it look way more elegantly and it will just feel more comfortable while pushing. Another really important one is that you don't keep your foot flat. A lot of people keep their foot like parallel to the ground, like really flat as they push and after they push and before they push, and this also doesn't really look very well. And lastly, something that's really important is that you extend your foot that's pushing in front of your body before you actually push, and not just like put your foot, start to push like next to you. That's like one of the easiest giveaways of a really beginner longboarder. If you see someone pushing like this, it doesn't look very good, right? So you want to extend it like long in front of you, and it will make your push look that much better. Bonus tip, as you're cruising, like after you push, you put your feet on the board and you're cruising. As you cruise, you don't want to put your feet like this or whatever. A lot of people do it because they push and they put their foot on the board and they're standing like this. You immediately want to go into a nice cruising position with bent knees, etc. So that's also a big tip for y'all. Next tip is about picking up your board. So when you're cruising around, very often you have to stop and pick up your board. This is something that can be really uncomfortable for beginners. Me, when I started, I really didn't like it because it looks goofy. What I often did was just stop the board and then just lean in and pick it up. Now, this doesn't really look very cool and it can give away that you're a beginner, Now once again, there's nothing wrong with being a beginner, but if you want to learn a cooler way to pick up your boards, and also don't put so much load on your back while you're picking up your boards, I got you, baby. So there are many ways to pick up your board in a cool way, and I've talked about them in another video, 10 beginner tips. So today I'm not gonna go over all of them. I'm just gonna give you the main one that I always use to pick up my boards, and that's also the easiest one to learn. So yeah, let's go. So at first you can just practice it by standing next to your board and literally just popping it up and trying to catch it. Do it over and over and over, and that way you can practice it very easily. The next step will be that you're riding and you're still standing on the board, and then you go into popping it up and catching it. There's two ways you can do it. You can either pop it with your front foot, that's what I mainly do, or you can pop it with your back foot like Jelle does. So either way, you're just gonna put your foot on the ground, slide the board forward, and then just pop it up. First off, if you pop like me with your front foot, the advantage is that you're putting the same foot on the ground that you would do as you're pushing. If you do it like Jelle does with your back foot popping it, the advantage is that it's the same foot popping it as you would pop your normal tricks with. The disadvantage is like stepping off the board can be harder right now. For a second as you're stepping off, you have to lean on the foot that isn't your normal foot that's on the board as you're pushing, so that might be less comfortable. But either way, just try out both, I would say, and see what works for you. For me, it's the first one. For Jelle, it's the second one. Everyone does something differently. Maybe something completely different works better for you. That's totally fine. These aren't rules. These are just suggestions. Side note, something really important to keep in mind is that you want to keep your hand open. Don't go reaching for your board with a closed hand and then open it last minute or something. Just go in with an open hand, because otherwise you might mess up your fingers. So that is the easiest way to pick up your board, in my opinion. And also another advantage of it is that it's really safe way. It's not as much of a risk. Something else I often do is just popping it up as I'm skating. This way, sometimes I don't catch it or something. I'm always afraid of not catching it, because if you don't catch it, your board will just fall on the ground, make a hell of a lot of noise. You don't want this to happen as you're cruising down a city or something, because trust me, I'm telling this from experience, everyone will look at you and you have to like pick up your board from the ground, and it's painful. So this is a safe way. This is what I do if I feel like, okay, I'm not that comfortable popping it right now. I'll just do it like this. It's really easy, it looks great, and you look like you know what you're doing. Alright, and the next up we're gonna talk about stepping onto your board, because just like stepping off it, how you get on it can really make you look way more comfortable while you're skating. And there are also some convenient ways to get on it rather than just standing next to your board and then putting it on the ground or whatever and then start pushing. First of all, this is pretty much the coolest way in my opinion, is to just grab your board by the nose, walk next to it, and then just jump onto your board. This is a really cool way. It looks badass, but it's also really a good way to get on it. First of all, you can catch a lot of speed in this way. You can really run into it and then jump on. So that's why a lot of skaters do it. For example, a lot of skaters do it if like there's not a long run up to the spot. Say that like there's a stair over there and you have only 5 meters to get speed, so they run into it, jump on the board, and they pop their trick. It's not what we are doing right now with this video, but still it shows that this is a great way to get a lot of speed in a short amount of time. This is also very convenient because there are a lot of moments when you are carrying a board and you have to transition into skating, like either you're on the bus and you start skating, or you have to stop at a stoplight and you have your board in your hand, you have to start skating again. There's so many times that you have to start skating after carrying your board, and this is, in my opinion, the coolest way to get onto it, and it's also, like I said, very convenient. Another way to get on your board that's really fun is to push the board in front of you and then run and jump onto it. This is something I really enjoyed practicing when I was beginning, because in my opinion it looks pretty cool, especially for someone who's really beginning. And it's a cool way when the board is already on the ground to get some speed and to get on the board. So you can just practice it and you will figure this one out yourself. If you're comfortable with this, it's also cool to run and then put one foot on the board and start pushing. It's a really good transition if you want to get a lot of speed. It's really a combination of the two, and I think this is a really cool way to start pushing. So these are the 3 ways that I still use right now, like 90% of the time if I want to get on my boards. And I think this is these are good ones for you too if you're a beginner and you want to look more experienced. If you do this, if someone does this, they jump onto their boards while they're running or something, I will immediately think like, okay, if they can do that, they must be experienced, because otherwise you can't just do that. So yeah, just practice it and have fun with it. So in conclusion, I don't think you should feel bad about looking like a beginner, but even though I believe that you don't have to feel bad, still a lot of people will do so. So these are just some tips and some ideas that you can work on, and if you do so and if you practice these, I'm really sure that people won't consider you a beginner longboarder anymore. So that's it for this video. I really hope this one helped. I'm really stoked on making more beginner videos. So if you got questions or whatever, leave them in the comments. Help each other out. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Big hugs from Belgium. Ciao.